Good afternoon, everybody. This is Oakwalker, and I'm here with Stronghorse. We are Earth Medicine for the Soul, once again, moving down through the topics of ancient traditions and spiritual connections as we understand it. So here we go with another talk. And I think Frank had an idea this time, so let's see what goes.
Yeah, I think I'd like to maybe tackle, if we can, um, what we feel is going to be transpiring on the planet over the next 1,000 years, really, I guess. If we want to really, we'll just jump into the big bucket there. You know,
So it depends on whose system you want to pin it down to.
yeah. I mean, prophecy's been, I mean, if you look at the uh, prophecy of the seven fires. You've got Black Elk Speaks. I mean, there's numerous discussions around where they've talked about this time is going to come when the Earth is dying and people are acting crazy and something's gonna be need to be done to help bring the light back into. I mean, you can look at Quetzalcoatl, and
Yeah,
his promise to return back to bring the light back after this age of darkness. I
yeah,
mean, we could keep going on and on, but there's a lot of written and oral discussions about this particular time that we're in,
yeah.
and
And the prophecy of the apocalypse from the Bible, we were reminded that apocalypse means the lifting of the veil or being able to see uh, better than we do now. We're taking the smoky glass off of our eyes and stuff like that. So I think your question is, to put it bluntly, what is it we think we're turning into,
yeah,
right?
absolutely, absolutely. It's and if we can, and so if even if we're wrong, we can at least we'll give a little bit of we'll grasp on a few straws and see if we can build a house
Yeah.
out of it. So,
Yeah, cool.
yes. Well, I think I gave an example the other day when I was driving down the road and all of a sudden everything got super clear and I thought, oh my God, here we go.
Hmm.
You know, I bet I might need to pull in a parking. And you and I have discussed this. We'll have these little momentary glitches of where the scene before us seems to change dramatically,
Hmm.
and it's like um, I don't know what the word I'm thinking of. It's like a dribble of, hey, here's a taste, of what's on the way,
Uh-huh.
and so I think the purpose of that is to help us overcome our fears. I mean, it's. I remember for years and years now, the Order of Melchizedek said, we can't just flip a switch. I mean, everybody will go stark raving mad.
Uh-huh.
I mean, there's no way that we can do that. It's got to be slow. It's got to be come on very, very gently.
Hmm.
Um, I remember one time I was at Sundance and Larry and I were acting up, doing crazy stuff about something. And the grandmothers came in. They said, you guys with your bangs and your booms and your crushing. He says, you know what? Feel the summer wind. Feel how soft the wind is.
Uh-huh.
That's the fifth world.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and I remember. I'll tell you, well, it works for me, man.
Yeah.
So, and I think that if we can create some sense of security and expectations of that, this isn't. We're not going into a cataclysmic destruction of everything that we know. We're moving into a new realm, and you said it earlier, the old patterns have got to go. They have to go. And that's not easy. It's not
Yeah.
easy getting rid of these things that we're basically humanity's become addicted to.
Hmm.
They don't want to let go. And so, it's going to be a ride.
Yeah. I
I
mean, we
was
don't.
thinking about, we're having these discussions, I think earlier about psilocybin, and microdose and stuff. And I told the story about me thinking, well, I'll just eat a couple of these caps and get on my horse. And I started thinking after we talked, and I thought, yeah, you see these, this the Gentle Willow Healing Center where we we treat you with the ultimate professionalism. You
Uh-huh.
got these guys laying on these mattresses and people singing and wind chimes, and they got a mask on, and I'm thinking, or you could give them a couple of caps and strap them to a horse and see what happens.
There's people who do that. Some
Made
people's
short work of it.
traditions, yeah, some people's traditions have some very extremely painful and you might say traumatic initiations into the next phase of a person's growth. That's something that we've sort of grown away from. Um, Even to the extent that the vision quests that we do aren't quite as extreme as, say, the Lakota might have done, with 4 days of only having some water and things like that. I know my vision quest was only one night long. It was freezing. It was extremely unpleasant, but it was only one night. Um,
Right.
but the thing that, while you were talking, the thing that keeps, well, two things. Um, we are co-creators. So we really want to start thinking in terms of what kind of world do we want to be in? Because it's it's going to be up to us to some extent to arrive at the conclusions that we're flowing into that natural space that everyone seems to want to enjoy. But we're going to have to allow ourselves to do that. So it's a co-creation process. We have to fix our minds on what what we want. What do we want? And it's not going to boil down to, well, I want, a new iPhone every year. It's going to boil down to, how do I want to feel? Am I going to have dinner? And is my family happy, basically? And then beyond that, it's, am I in touch, and am I in concert with that flow, because that's the natural flow of the Holy Spirit or the Creator, or all of that. I I am hoping for and anticipating that as we make these shifts, that we scale away the things that are chaotic, harsh, uh, overly critical, the things that aren't working for us now, and that we move into a place where we have a better sense of peace in the world, and we're more at ease with our mortality, um, just things of that nature, where we're not being predators anymore.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, you and I have, you know, we probably have our individual stories about why we went into a shamanic path,
Mhm.
but I think what we have in common is that we knew there was a knowing there was a truth that we just wanted to know more about.
Yeah.
We want to know more about this because there's something there. I'm not sure what it is,
Uh-huh.
but I wanted to find out. I mean, it was just
And
my
it feels like a
curiosity and
warm blanket on my soul.
yeah, and our sense of adventure. There was
Hmm.
a sense of adventure. It was like, God, this is totally up my alley. And so that process that we went through would hopefully be the precursor to what you're describing for the collective. In other words,
Hmm.
as 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 the veil is lifted, there'll be more and more opportunities where people will be going, huh? this is kind of interesting, or
Mhm,
that's a good I heard somebody say something about, and that I felt like that was a pretty good point.
mhm,
And they'll start following the signs a little more and warming up to it and becoming more receptive, primarily maybe because they're just like, the old world is, I'm just done with it. I'm
uh-huh.
just done with it.
Yeah,
It's not working for anybody.
right.
And you see it all right now. This all the stuff that's coming out about the Mossad and the Illuminati, and I mean the kids are just they're infatuated with this.
Hmm.
Like what? Look at all the stuff they've been doing to us for and enough. We've had
Hmm.
enough. We're just not going to
Yeah,
do this anymore.
I'm tired of being
And
manipulated.
yeah, and the truth is we spoke briefly before one of our previous sessions, for you and I, it comes through Mother Earth.
Yeah,
That's where it's not filtered through man's egotistical mindset or predator mindset or whatever.
yeah,
She is pretty simple and clean and pure and to the point.
yeah. And she's got
When
that direct connection with creation. That's why I think nature is a direct expression of God or creation.
absolutely,
And so
absolutely.
I really wish I could get into her more.
Well, we have, and that's you're right. I mean, that's why, we've talked about trying to set up a new world preparatory school where we can be out in the wilderness and create a
Hmm.
ceremonial context within which people can come and experience the things we experience through
Yeah,
active celebratory ceremony
yeah.
and be able
Participation.
to give that to more and more people, and so, hopefully maybe we'll just leave that to the creator whether that works out or not. But
Uh-huh, yeah.
in the meantime, we just it's I think just we've just tried to create a BS session here to where people can sit and listen to us talk, and we're not trying to prophesize to them on anything. We're just sharing our experiences and hope that maybe something in this allows them to feel more comfortable and more familiar with what's happening.
Yeah. And feel free to just talk about this stuff. I was thinking of an old friend that I had way back in San Diego today, and one day I was just starting on all of this stuff, right? And I just started to talk about it, and he cut me off, and it was as if there was one of those moments of clarity that we have where I could just see him thinking, "Oh, if my friends knew I was talking about that, they would call me crazy." And And so that's a thing, where people they're afraid to even broach any discussion around this kind of thing, around the awareness that you could contact your creator. They're still debating whether or not there is one. Um, when he makes himself known to you, it's pretty clear.
Right. It's not a lot
And
of gray there.
right, it's just like, okay.
There you are.
All right,
Sure.
yeah. So let's factor that in. And I think that these topics or these talks that we have, they have a potential of giving people the freedom to say weird stuff and to think weird stuff and
Yeah.
to talk about weird stuff because this is what the whole freedom of speech was supposed to be about, is the expansion of your experience on the planet. I mean, there's a reason we did this, and it was to grow bigger and become and get more experience and become that observer that we carry what we did here into the greater, this is my theory. When we pass over, we carry all we have to take with us is our experience. We're not going to take money, we're not going to take lunch, we're not going to take a body. All we have is that stuff that we learned here, that stuff we saw, and we can carry that and plug it into the massiveness of what the creator is, and in that way add to the expansion of the entire universe or the creator. Um,
Yeah, absolutely. And that sounds pretty weird.
yeah,
You know,
right?
it does. But I think that, I think I mean that, stuff is weird when you're talking about it within the context of a group of people who are addicted to a certain paradigm and don't want to be told no.
Yeah,
Don't want to be told, "Huh, you're addicted to something." No, I'm not. Who
yeah.
are you to try to tell me that? So we just, I remember
That's how
one
I
of the
spend
best
my week at
teachings
work.
one of the best teachings Swifter gave one time was like, was, was the difference between being liked and disliked by other people, and I remember thinking, God, this is totally up my channel. if, if I could just have, you just gave me permission to not be liked by anybody. Oh my God.
Thank you.
And that is such a relief. I thought I was, I thought I was doing it all wrong. And I just realized, oh my God, I'm not. So,
Yeah,
you
you're
know,
fine.
it,
I've
yeah,
never
and
been
which
comfortable with
helped
being
me.
disliked. I find it inconvenient.
Yeah, I just well at first it's off-putting, because people who you want to be liked or you want to be part of this
That's a natural
social group or
urge.
something.
Yeah.
If you want to belong to something, then and so when I decided enough already, and then I remember then I really went through a period of intense loneliness, because
Mm,
didn't really belong anywhere for any
mhm.
on any level with anything. And then as I came out of that, I started realizing that I belong to something which is of my choice. It's not, it's not something I'm supposed to do. This is something I choose to do. And
Uh-huh.
that's a
Yeah.
whole different quality,
Right.
a
That's a
whole
new
different
paradigm.
quality. Yeah. And so when and what happens with spirit is when you choose to belong to it, it chooses to belong to you.
Hmm.
And all of a sudden it makes itself available to you in ways that most people don't quite understand or ever have the luxury of experiencing that,
Yeah.
and you and I have, because we have stepped into that. And one of the other things that just crossed my mind when we were talking, the thing about truth is it's like a serum. It's like the thing that has been attacks the disease. It's like a vaccine, so to speak, in that it goes after the falsehoods and it
Uh-huh.
soothes the areas around that, and doesn't necessarily destroy it, but exposes it for what it is. It
Right.
lets people
Shines the
see
light
it for
on it.
what it is.
Hmm.
Yes. And so I think that's what we're seeing going on the planet right now is truth is being flooded into the earth, whether it's coming through the massive work that the sun's doing with the planet, or
Or all
the
of it.
all of it. It's just I mean, you hear different people talking about what's going on right now. It's never happened in any universe, in ever. And so all eyes are on this planet right now, which means that we have a support system that is beyond our comprehension.
Hmm.
And if that's true, then truth is flooding itself into the planet now on a massive scale. And I think to the degree that it's almost hard for us to comprehend it, and or recognize it. But I think it's flooding in on a big level. What do you think?
I think that you're right. Um, so there's this notion flying around that the universe is a place in which literally everything is possible. And so it's all possible, okay? Every experience possible is available somewhere. And I think that so by virtue of that notion, then everything that's happening on every planet would be unique, which isn't to say that this isn't special, because I'm not sure that there's ever been a species that's ever been so disconnected from creator before. And that's what feels
Good
special to
point.
me about Earth is that I heard one channeler, for example, say that when the star brethren came down and found the primates and then amplified them and modulated them into what has become the humans, it's because they needed uh, some better workers for the processes that they were working out on the planet. And they were surprised by the fact that they evolved into an ascended consciousness that wasn't supposed to happen, right? So now here they're stuck with this species. I'm not saying that this is the way it is, but I can't say it isn't either. So now here, all
Mhm.
of a sudden, they're stuck with this species that was supposed to stay in the animal realm, basically, but has suddenly become an evolutionary toward the angelic and toward the spiritually ascendant kind type of being, and that we may be crossing over a threshold that hasn't been done before. That would make this
Absolutely.
a very unusual situation on this planet. And it that just talking about that, which is forbidden in so many places, um, it gives me that feeling of that, oh my God, uh-oh, here we go. There's, that uh-oh, here we go feeling like I just ate a hit of acid and uh-oh, here we go. And I'm kind of getting that right
Yeah,
now.
right.
It's
Right.
like, well, okay, there's no stopping this process. So let's just buckle down and do the work.
Well, the different through the different channel work that we've done that I've done with the Order Melchizedek, they talk about so many planets that are out there that have life that are already in oneness. They've always been in oneness.
Yeah, they
You
never left.
know, yeah, and it's just it's what it is. This planet's in duality, so that's a whole nother program.
Well,
That's a
yeah.
whole nother sphere of influence. And so if the duality can be merged with the oneness, it expands the oneness on degrees of consciousness that is almost unfathomable.
Yeah, how can you have
Because
that awareness of oneness and duality and then turn that into
I
a
think
third thing?
which is co-creation,
Yeah.
which is co-creation. And then if you're in a place where you're actually consciously aware of all of that at the same time, happening at the same time, and then through spirit to spirit cohabitation
Hmm.
with one another and with the creator, then it takes you into worlds of 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 exploration and discovery and manifestation that we can't even comprehend right now.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's why everybody's kind of watching what's going on here, because it's a big deal for everything. I mean,
Hmm.
and when I say everything, I'm using a capital E with that. You know, I mean, it is. It's a big deal. I mean, we're in a. I mean, if we pull this off, and I think we will.
I do too.
I mean, it's huge, man. It
Yeah.
really is. It's huge. And so a lot of the trials and tribulations that particularly if the young people are having to go through this birthing process without really understanding what are they birthing. You know, I
Yeah.
kind of feel for them, you know. I mean, you and I can say, well, let's just guess at this, see what happens.
Yeah, but it's still all
You
just
know,
conjecture.
we'll convince ourselves that yeah, this is really going on. But we have the knowledge and the knowing through the work we've done to feel
Mhm.
fairly confident about it,
Yeah. And
which
there's
is
a
why we've
thing,
chosen to have these conversations. So,
yeah, because there's a thing about seeing, um, and that knowing and that seeing of being a seer, and you can look down, it's like looking down a tunnel, and and the tunnel is is all windows. There's so you've got a tube, and it's like there's TVs all around the edge, the outside of this or the inside of this tube, and you're looking down and you're seeing all these realms of possibility, you know, and all of these realms of possibility might be that place where the tube ends. But in each one of those realms of possibilities, there's a whole bunch of people in there with freedom of choice. So, so you can't just go, oh, well, it's going to be that one, right? Because you don't control everybody else's freedom of choice. And so all of this appears to, we do this conjecturing, thinking, look, I'm looking down this tube. I can see all of these possibilities, but I can't tell you which one it's going to be. And it's probably going to be a combination of a bunch of them or all of them.
and I think that's why the angelic hierarchy is so strict with the rules about not interfering with freedom of choice,
Yeah.
freedom of free will, because
Yeah.
the free will is really the engine that drives the manifestation, and
The whole
so,
co-creation process.
yeah, if we don't manifest through free will, all we've really done is created artificial intelligence.
Yep.
You know what I'm
Which,
saying? I
and
mean,
how well has that worked so far?
yeah, and I mean, it's just so without being a judgment, I think that it's a matter of us really allowing the thing to carry on in the way that it is going to carry on, in referring back to our last session, by holding our space for ourselves, for the collective, and for the people that we love, so that they are able to ride this out with a sense of clarity and a sense of calmness as this transition occurs. The
Hmm.
fear is the number one enemy. That's why you're
Yep.
seeing all this crazy stuff going on the planet right now. They're trying to maintain, the forces that don't want this to happen are trying to put as much fear into the people as they can, because they know that's the only stop. But the counterweight to that is the people are like, enough,
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah. They can't take it
The whole
anymore.
world is done. We've done it. It's done. Goodbye. Bring on
And
the new. And so I think that's what's happening.
yep, I think you're right. And what occurs to me, I'm going to sneeze. What, oh, excuse me, I could have muted
Bless
for
you.
that. Um, what occurs to me is that the people that are using fear to prevent change are doing it out of fear themselves. And so that
Right.
I'm so happy I just remembered that, because I can be a lot less judgmental toward them now, which will make me a better anchor as if I'm not pissed off at the greedy motherfuckers who
Exactly. Exactly. No, it is. I mean, I mean, you look at Trump and you can just ramble on about how horrible it is, or you can look at him and say, God, how miserable that dude must be. I mean,
right,
what a,
exactly.
I feel sorry for him. I mean, it's just,
Yep, and the
I mean, he
minions and
just,
everybody in that paradigm too. It's all about fear. It's all about, in my opinion, not getting dinner.
and doing everything they can to avoid their own authenticity,
Yeah,
because they're terrified that if they open up that authentic self that's within them, that they'll evaporate and just
Yeah.
dissolve into a heap of flesh and blood. I mean,
Right.
so they're holding on to these artificial stimulus and addictions to try to keep from having to face their greatest fear, which for them, I'm sure, is physical death.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I know that's not a that's there's a that's just we're moving on to a whole different realm, another dimension. It's not the
Uh-huh.
end of the end,
Yeah.
but for them, it is the end of the end. I mean,
Yeah. Because
we
it's
used
the
to,
end of an ego. Because your ego doesn't transcend. It doesn't make that transition, right? It is the end of
yeah,
your ego. So if you've got nothing going on but an ego, you got nothing.
nothing. You're totally empty. You're an empty shell.
Uh-huh.
So that is the definition of the old world,
Yeah.
and I just think more and more people are just going, goodbye.
Uh-huh.
We've had it. This is
Yeah.
just not working, and so there's a lot of reason to be optimistic in terms of the transition that we're facing that's coming up in this new world slowly seeps into our consciousness,
Hmm.
and allows us to be able to be accepting of it without feeling like everything's come to an end.
Yeah. Because it
There's no
isn't.
end in our way of thinking. There's always just another beginning.
Hmm. Hmm.
This is a big beginning and a big end, but so what?
Yeah. Because we may be able to reincarnate and finish the process later. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
Like come back and see the
that's
fruits
a
of my
good place to wrap
labor.
it up. So I want
All
to
right. Well,
thank, yeah,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. I want to thank
No, I just
everybody.
want to say I want to thank you for having the opportunity to exchange these ideas with you and battle these things back and forth. It's a great little tennis match.
I'm not competing, so that's going to be interesting. That that makes you the tennis ball machine.
Well, when a good game of tennis happens, man, you're working together to keep it going.
Oh, well, that's true, isn't it? Yeah, huh?
Yeah, then you get in the flow, and that's when it's really fun.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you, listeners and viewers and everybody. And this is Earth Medicine for the Soul. You can visit us at earth-ems.org. And if you tune in on YouTube, I'll have that written up on the screen for you every time we close. Thank you, and stay well and be at peace.
Peace.